This three-part series is dedicated to providing information regarding little-known areas and facts about the interior of the Iowa State Capitol. Unlike the standard Capitol tours, this production goes beyond the ropes to welcome everyone to journey further into the People's Building. The Iowa State Law Library is a magnificent room. It takes up the whole west front of the Capitol building on both the second and third floors. There are about 100,000 volumes stored in the law library, all of them accessible to the public. In the law library, there are historical state documents produced by state agencies, boards, and commissions, and of course state facilities. These would be old biennial reports required by the legislature and the governor. The law library has spiral staircases leading to all the different levels, and on each level you can walk all the way around the room. This gives you access to each one of the alcoves. The law library is more than 100 feet long and about 45 feet tall. From the upper floors of the library, you can view the beautiful encaustic tile floors. You also get a closer look at some of the faux marble that we have in the library, and of course the beautiful skylight. This skylight was installed for $2 per square foot in the 1880s when we were building the Capitol. From the upper stories of the law library, you can also see areas that are rarely viewed by the public, as these areas are not accessible except to the librarians. These areas have been restored in the four corners of the law library. There are ceilings that have been restored, woodwork that has been restored, and of course in the main portion of the library we also see a ceiling that has gone through that restoration process. Notice the colors, the pink and the green, and of course the vibrant blue. The railings and the staircases in the law library are all made of iron. The staircases we actually purchased for $2,107.24. The balcony railings we purchased for $5,853.53. The railings and the staircases are the only part of the law library that's left to be restored. The white and the brown that you see are not the original colors. The railings and staircases should be pink and green and nickel, so they're bright silver, copper, and a little bit of gold leaf. You can see how that combination would work well with the ceiling and the stained glass. And of course, the beautiful encaustic tile floors. In the northeast corner of the law library, there is a hidden staircase that will take you up to the attic area. This staircase is not an original part of the building, but was added later so that librarians could access the attic area where they stored many, many books.
In keeping with best practices in the housing of special collections, the law library's upper tiers are closed to the public. However, the staff is always willing to retrieve any item you may find useful to your research. The law library's dumbwaiter has been kept in operational condition for 125 years and is used on a daily basis. The dumbwaiter scales 40 feet and has the ability to be locked into position on each of the four upper tiers of the library. The soot on the northwest wall on the third floor represents evidence of a fire that gutted the House chambers in 1904. The law library contains state and federal statutory, regulatory, and case law, abstracts and arguments of the Iowa Supreme Court and Court of Appeals, state and federal documents, and a vast collection of legal periodicals. In addition to the day-to-day practice aids, the law library is the proud owner of a unique historical collection of legal material containing English, Anglo-Saxon, Roman, and international law, dating back to the year of 1539.
The interior of the Capitol is beautifully decorated, and in many places we have gold leaf, just like the gold leaf on the exterior dome. We also have aluminum leaf used in the Capitol. The gold leaf comes packaged many different ways. Most commonly used around the Capitol are 3.5 by 3.5 inch squares. This gold leaf is so fragile, it's almost like an ash, and you cannot touch it with your bare hands. It will melt right into your skin. The gold leaf is used all around the building in the upper portions, the sheaves of wheat that you see in the upper dome. The aluminum leaf is also used in the upper dome. The aluminum leaf is not quite as fragile as the gold leaf. You can touch it with your bare hands. They paint over the aluminum leaf with a gold tinted varnish, and that's what gives it the illusion of gold. The statues in the upper dome of the Capitol are covered with the aluminum leaf. From the upper dome of the Capitol, you can look down onto the tile floors. This area is referred to as the Whispering Gallery, and this area is open to the public and included in most public tours. Here in the attic of the Capitol, we're just above the law library. This is an area that they used to use for storing books from the law library. There were floor-to-ceiling bookcases in this area for many, many years. About 60,000 volumes were stored here above the law library. You can see the iron beams. You can also see the I-beams that support the weight of the Capitol. And as you look up on the ceiling, you'll see that there's a terracotta ceiling in the attic space.
This portion of the attic is now used for air handling equipment to ensure that the library is ventilated correctly. It also has fire equipment in it in today's standards to make sure that the building is safe for occupants. So most all of the current attic is used for either fire protection and HVAC machines. Right now we're in the west attic of the Capitol. This is over the law library. There's actually a glass in place over the stained glass, and the light reflects into the law library through a skylight in the roof.
In the attic, you'll see ductwork that carries fresh air through the Capitol building. You can also see that there's a lot of storage in the attic area. We're looking out over a skylight here, and of course an area where we store light fixtures, both old and new light fixtures.
We're back up in the attic again here, and we're standing in what we call the combustible storage room. This room was constructed a few years ago at the request of the fire marshal's office. The building, we need some storage space to store some of the building components that has been changed through the renovation and just through the years. In this room, we store some of the doors that have been in the building, and some of the combustible furniture, some of the wood furniture that we've have to store up here in the attic. This room is actually on the west side of the attic, which is the side that looks over downtown. And we're actually standing above the west porch area. And what we did, this area had basically two openings into this area. And we installed two fire doors and a couple of fan openings in the wall between this room and the rest of the attic. And what happens is this room really doesn't have any heat or cooling in it, but the fans will adjust the temperature in this room to kind of keep it the same as the attic temperature. And if the fire alarms go off in the building, there's a relay that will shut off the fans to this room and actually close dampers so smoke and fire cannot get into this room. And basically what this room is for is to store the combustible storage that we have up here in the attic. So if something did happen, a fire did happen in a mechanical equipment or something like that, we don't have other items in the attic to actually feed that fire and make it worse.
In the attic of the Capitol, you can see the brick arch and the iron supports. Also, fire safety equipment in the attic. And of course, we have numerous electrical panels, not only in the attic, but throughout the Capitol building.
We're currently in the southwest dome of the Capitol. Capitol has 4 small domes, 1 large dome. There's a big pipe you'll see in a minute that's above us that goes all the way out of the Capitol dome. It used to be used for ventilation of the Capitol. The interesting part about the southwest dome is somebody decided at one time they were going to put a chiller in here, which is basically an air conditioner, and it's a method of cooling water. And along with the chiller, they also put in here a water-cooled tower. So there was a cooling tower in here at one time, and the cooling tower, interestingly enough, discharged through the same pipe to the top of the dome. Part of the reason the chiller and the cooling tower were taken out of here is that everybody thought that the Capitol dome was on fire about every other day. So they finally took it out because it appeared like the dome was on fire from the condensate water vapor that was coming out of the dome all the time. And the other small domes, we use those domes now for what they call smoke purge. In case there's a fire, there's dampers that open in the small domes, and it purges the smoke to the atmosphere. But other than that, they're not used at all anymore for anything but that.
In the small domes of the Capitol, the windows are frosted. This is not to prevent people from looking out, but actually to prevent people from seeing in and looking at all the mechanicals that you could view that are running through those small domes. Here in the upper dome, again, we have that aluminum leaf with the gold-colored varnish. We have 240 light bulbs in the dome of the Capitol. And one of the most frequently asked questions is, how do they change those light bulbs? There's an area in behind, and you can reach all the light bulbs from the back side. Every other light bulb along the bottom row, you're able to actually open up a trap door and change the light bulb in that fashion. All of the other light bulbs in the upper portions, you can actually just pull the socket out from the back side, put in a new light bulb, and push it back through. The light bulbs are changed now one at a time as necessary because we're using the long-lasting bulbs. We used to change the light bulbs once a year because they were just regular light bulbs and they burned out that often. In the upper portions of the dome, you get a great view of the Grand Army of the Republic banner that stretches across the top of the dome. We are on the level where that banner lays across. This is the uppermost balcony inside the building. We're actually 219 feet above the ground floor of the Capitol. And you can see that that banner is laid across on wires. As we look up to the area that's painted to look like the sky, this is a dome shape. This canopy actually hangs out over the interior dome. You can see that that Grand Army of the Republic emblem stretches all the way across that inner dome. As we walk up the steps to get to the very top of the dome, you're going to notice that there is a pipe that runs just below the canopy. And that pipe is an old gas ring. They would come up every morning and light gas jets It would provide very little light in that area, but what it provided was ventilation. As the oxygen burned off, of course, more rushed in, and it helped the building act like a chimney. You can see above that canopy that it actually is suspended from the outer dome. The staircase that takes you to the very top is also suspended from that outer dome. There are 298 steps from the second floor of the Capitol to the very top of the dome. This staircase leads you into the area that we refer to as the cupola. The cupola is the very, very top of the Capitol building. This is an area that's built for viewing out, for people to look out over the Capitol and out over the city of Des Moines. As we're looking at the dome, you can see that it's not nearly as smooth as what you see from the ground floor level. The Iowa State Capitol is a beautiful and classic structure, both inside and out. While maintaining its elegance and timeless artisanship, the Capitol is continually being upgraded to provide state-of-the-art operations, thus keeping it an essential and functional part of state government.